Hi, I'm Anqoinette Crosby and welcome to County Report This Week. Coming up in the next half hour, we go on a walking tour of Bethesda to see the challenges of pedestrian safety. Plus, we'll take you to a gala that celebrated 3 decades of helping MCPS students in need. And later, they want a new school and better services, why residents in Poolesville are fighting for big changes in their small town. But first, it was a full week of business for the new county council. The members wrapped up with a meeting with a national leader who supports the county's most important priorities. Susan Kennedy has more.
Congratulations.
It was a busy first week for the new county council that wrapped up with a luncheon with U.S. Senator Ben Cardin.
When I was first elected to the Senate in 2006,
Cardin is a leader on many of the same issues the council prioritizes, including immigration reform, climate change, and education funding, an issue he says will be at the forefront this coming year.
You know, it's a new council, it's a new General Assembly, so this is a year in which it's hard to predict how things will go, but clearly the financial issues are going to be top. We know that they're going to be dealing with the Kirwan Commission report in Annapolis. I think how those funds are developed and what are the standards are going to be critically important to Montgomery County and every jurisdiction in our state.
Council President Nancy Navarro says staying engaged with the county's national representatives is critical and that the council appreciates the close relationship it has with the senator.
You know, we're very lucky to have an extraordinary federal team representing our interests and all our constituents' interests. So many things, of course, have a connection to a local level. So whether it is, budgetary issues, we have such a large federal workforce. There are so many issues regarding immigration, for example, as well as infrastructure investment. And so it's always nice, and he's always so available to spend time with us here and really engage in these types of conversations. So it's always an honor to have him here.
Though some of the discussion focused on national issues that could adversely affect residents, Councilmember Gabe Albornoz told us he heard plenty of good news.
I heard a lot of optimistic messages today. While there are unquestionably challenges ahead, and Senator Cardin didn't sugarcoat those challenges, I did sense that with the leadership that we have in our own federal delegation, the leadership we have coming up in the House, that there's a lot that we'll be able to tackle collectively and together. And so I'm optimistic about many of the things that he mentioned and what it will bring for Montgomery County. We just have to hold strong and work together to achieve that.
In Rockville, I'm Susan Kennedy for County Report This Week.
Every December, 3 minority organizations host an event to discuss legislative issues. These issues have an impact on the minority business community. Here's more on what state politicians had to say.
The people in this room are the backbone of Montgomery County's politics, which have been so much in the forefront of making Maryland a beacon to the rest of the country.
So we're going to need the investment so we have the capacity to take care of the people who have opioid addiction problems. We need state and federal legislation to deal with the pill mills and with the doctors who continue to pump opioids into the community.
when there is language and words that marginalize migrants and causes people to be fearful and hate. If migrants are not safe, members of the African American community are not safe, the Asian American community, the Latino community, women, members of the LGBT community, journalists, none of us are safe. We need to acknowledge the rise of hate in our community. Hate has no place in Montgomery County, Maryland, or this nation.
Thank you for the example in this county. Senator Cardin talked about it, the rise of hate across America. But this county has set the example as really a model of how the whole community steps up in solidarity.
The county must go on a savings plan. That's what Council President Nancy Navarro says needs to happen starting in January. The plan will limit department spending by about 1.5% to cover a shortfall from FY 2018.
We are going to address a deficit from FY18 closeout where the previous executive had to use some money from the reserves. So we're going to engage in a savings plan of about 1.5%. Starting in January, when the executive transmits that to us. And the reason why the executive has proposed this is because we do have to meet our promise of reaching a 10% reserve goal by 2020. So it's an adjustment. It's a much smaller savings plan that we've had to deal with in the past. But moving forward, what we heard today is that we are definitely on target when it comes to the revenues that we have received.
The county, through both a decision of the county executive legate and the county council, have been on a path to make sure that our reserves equal 10% of tax revenues, a rainy day fund for the future. We are supposed to end fiscal year 19, our current fiscal year, at 9.4%. Because of the closeout from the prior fiscal year not being what we had thought it would be, we are on target for only 8.4%.
County Executive Marc Elrich wants to hear from you. He and his transition team have scheduled more listening sessions. This will give county residents and stakeholders a chance to have their voices heard. So far, they've been held in Germantown, Silver Spring, Olney, Tacoma Park, and Poolesville. Now Bethesda, Potomac, and Kensington will be added. This is your opportunity to let the new county exec know what's important to you. For more information, go to montgomerycountymd.gov. Coming up on County Report this week, tips on how to make sure your holiday season is a safe one. And Councilmember Friedson tours Bethesda on foot to see the safety challenges pedestrians encounter. Those stories and more when we return.
Did you know there are more than 10,000 county government phone numbers? But there's only one number you need to remember for non-emergency calls, 311. MC311 is Montgomery County government's online telephone information system. Need information? Have a problem or complaint? Trying to locate a county government facility? Call 311. The call center is open Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. The website is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Welcome back to County Report this week. I'm Anqoinette Crosby. With the holidays right around the corner, we want to remind residents how to be safe this holiday season. Here to talk about it is Lucille Bauer from the county's police department. Lucille, thanks for being here. Tell us some safe holiday tips.
Well, I've brought my top 10 list of holiday do's and don'ts. So number 10, do respect the space, especially when parking lots are full. Don't be tempted to park even for a few minutes in a reserved disability parking space. Number 9, put your phone down when you're driving and walking. Distraction is a leading cause of collisions. Number 8, don't have packages delivered to an unsecured address. Send them to your place of work or to a neighbor who you know will be at home. Number 7, look up and out for one another in shopping center parking lots when you're walking and driving. Number 6, don't give money to someone who calls you on the phone unless you know who that person is. Solicitation scams just spike during this season of giving. Number 5, do keep your wallet in a front pant or jacket pocket or in your closed purse worn in front of your body. Number 4, don't leave packages visible in your car. Thieves are routinely looking for valuables left in unattended vehicles. Number 3, do plan ahead for your holiday celebrations. There is no excuse to drink and drive. Use a designated driver, a car service, or the taxi sober ride service. Number 2, do your best to be seen when you're walking after dark. Wear light-colored or reflective clothing, carry a small flashlight, and when you're driving, do be alert and yield to pedestrians crossing. And the number 1 safety tip, be aware of your surroundings at all times, whether you're shopping, driving, or walking. Look around you, notice what's going on, stay in well-lit areas. And on behalf of all the men and women of the Montgomery County Department of Police, we wish you a peaceful and safe holiday season.
Lucille, thank you so much for being here and all of those great tips. Navigating city streets can be tricky if you're on foot. Councilmember Andrew Friedson led a group of residents and county officials on a walking tour of Bethesda. This was to show pedestrian safety during the Central Business District's building boom.
New Councilmember Andrew Friedson led a group of residents and county officials on a walking tour through chilly Bethesda on Wednesday to examine some of the issues the Central Business District faces. One of the biggest concerns is pedestrian safety.
Obviously, pedestrian safety is a huge issue, and really today was about bringing together residents and small businesses and all the key stakeholders, park and planning, Department of Transportation, Department of Permitting Services, and everybody coming together to be able to look at these issues, not just deal with them on a piece of paper in an office building, but actually bring the council to the community and deal with them by walking around Bethesda and seeing them ourselves. We've got a list now of a lot of these issues that are important that we can look at, and we're going to follow up with each of these agencies. We're going to follow up with the residents and the businesses to start getting to work. Rather than being reactive, we're trying to be proactive and make sure that we're addressing these key quality of life issues, these important constituent service issues, so that we can start this council term off on the right foot.
Bethesda is going through a construction boom with Marriott's massive new headquarters, and a block away, the 17-story high-rise going up at 7900 Wisconsin Avenue. Those two projects highlight a difference in pedestrian safety. The builders at the 7900 Wisconsin site are using sidewalks on Woodmont and Wisconsin Avenue. The builders for the Marriott site are using Jersey barriers so pedestrians can walk by the site without crossing the street.
What we talked about today is a progression of how we're moving in the right direction. We now have a group that is looking at these issues, and the Marriott project, for example, now has contiguous pedestrian walkway in front of their project, which I think should be and needs to be the model moving forward. The idea is making sure that as these construction projects take place, that we make sure that the issues related to the construction is mitigated as much as possible, both for the small business storefronts and for the residents like myself who walk around Bethesda every day.
What do you think people in Bethesda think of these construction projects?
Yeah, well, I think, change is tough. I think change is important. It's not an if question, it's a how question. And when it comes to the how question, I think most residents and most small businesses who have storefronts that are affected, they're okay with a temporary issue related to bringing in new utilities or doing something that's absolutely necessary and that's unavoidable. But what bothers them is the 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 month long processes that disrupt pedestrian walkways that affect their storefronts. And so the idea is to make sure that we're communicating as much as possible, that we're doing things like we did today of bringing everybody together to address these issues and to enjoy the livable, walkable, accessible community that makes Bethesda such a great place to live and which I enjoy every day.
In Bethesda, this is Doug Tallman for County Report This Week.
It's a powerful committee making major decisions on development issues in the county. Councilmember Riemer talks about chairing the influential Planning, Housing, and Economic Development Committee.
Well, the committee is one of the more essential committees because it handles land use, and the county council has exclusive jurisdiction over land use. In some communities, the mayor's office might handle zoning. In Montgomery County, it's all at the county council, and we have the final say. So that is why it's often called as such a crucial committee. The new members, I think, are going to be terrific. They're coming in really with a strong vision of where this county needs to go. I think that's probably the most important thing. The rest is details and hard work.
And are you prepared to take the brunt on small cell towers?
I think that's an issue that we're going to have to decide. I mean, we did it on the commercial side. On the residential, there's a lawsuit moving forward. We need to let that happen. My view is, look, we need to be technologically up to date and competitive with the rest of the country, but we also want to make sure that we're not putting anyone at risk. And I think we can do both and figure out a way to do it in a way that's productive. And that's what I look forward to doing. But we'll see how the lawsuit goes, and then we'll take action accordingly.
Are you ready to take the brunt on small cell towers?
Well, it's obviously a hot button issue, something that a lot of residents have a lot of strong feelings about. There's a pending lawsuit right now, and so I think we need to see how things progress with the lawsuit and take it as it progresses.
Coming up on County Report this week, celebrating 3 decades of giving amazing opportunities to MCPS students. We'll take you to a special gala whose mission is to give back. And MC holds a stimulating lecture where stories were shared about women who risked their lives during the Holocaust and lived to tell about it. Stay with us. County Report this week. We'll be right back.
In Montgomery County, we have a goal to reduce waste and recycle 70% of all waste by 2020. By recycling and reducing waste, we save natural resources and make our community even better. So recycle at home, work, school, everywhere, and keep recycling going. For more information, call the Montgomery County, Maryland Division of Solid Waste Services at 311 or visit montgomerycountymd.gov/recycling.
Keep it going. Recycle more now.
Career success starts at Montgomery College. Get the hands-on education you need for the job you want and save up to half the cost of attending other colleges. Start your future now at Montgomery College.
Welcome back to County Report this week. I'm Anqoinette Crosby. It was a night to commemorate 3 decades of helping MCPS students in need. The Educational Foundation Gala was not only a night of glamour, but more so about giving back. MCPS TV has the story.
The Music Center at Strathmore was the venue as student musical groups played, and community leaders and philanthropists gathered for the MCPS Educational Foundation's Decennial Gala.
Tonight is a celebration of our 30th anniversary, and it's an opportunity for us to publicly thank all the friends and donors and key contributors to our journey and where we are today.
The event showcased the many programs that the Educational Foundation created and continues to fund.
In addition to all of the wonderful things this county provides, there are still needs that the foundation is able to help kids who are disadvantaged prepare and to succeed.
The MCPS Educational Foundation provides grants for teachers, after-school activity funds. It provides coats and glasses for needy kids, and it provides college scholarships for our students.
During the evening, honorees were recognized for their contributions to the Educational Foundation. MCPS Superintendent Dr. Jack Smith addressed the gathered guests.
It's great that we're pausing tonight to celebrate and recognize what has been done and what can be done in the future.
Foundation Chairperson Melvin Lesinski reflected on the event.
We want to continue to do this and grow the organization. We've developed some wonderful alumni programs right now that we're reaching out to a lot of the alumni, the young alumni, and we're actually honoring several of them tonight.
For their career contributions, alumni awards were presented to a philanthropist, a mental health advocate, a filmmaker, and members of the musical group OAR.
I just wanted to say how fortunate we were to grow up in a school system full of teachers that encourage us to follow our dreams and who kept us safe and genuinely cared about our well-being.
To learn more about the Educational Foundation, go to mcpsfoundation.org. A leading scholar spoke about the courage and survival of women during the Holocaust. The powerful discussion was held during MC's acclaimed speaker series. Justinian Cruz has a story.
The Frank Islam Athenaeum Symposia Speaker Series and the 4th Annual Bella Myshkinsky's Memorial Lecture, co-sponsored by the Paul Peck Humanities Institute, was presented by guest speaker Myrna Goldenberg.
Voices from the Holocaust usually suggest that both men and women will be the subjects of that book. And until a couple of decades ago, the word voices represented everything by men and nothing by women.
Myrna talked about the injustice women faced during the Holocaust invasion.
Women faced what we call double jeopardy. They were targeted as Jews and horribly mistreated as women. There was little consistency in the final solution, except in one goal, to kill all Jews sooner or later.
We hear the stories from the voiceless individuals who endured such tragedy.
In terms of biology, childbirth, of course, was the biggest difference. Giving birth in Auschwitz, for example, was as horrific as you can imagine. Many women were pregnant in their early months when they were rounded up, and not showing when they were sent to these labor camps and death camps.
Dr. Goldenberg shared the stories about the horror that took place in the concentration camps.
Women prisoners in Auschwitz and other camps were given the same assignments and punishments as men were given. Women were tortured, waterboarded, given injections into sensitive parts of their bodies, beaten, always beaten, and had their nails extracted, for example.
We also had the pleasure of talking with some of the attendees to get some of the comments of what they thought of Myrna's lecture.
I have actually been to a few concentration camps in Europe. I think it's important to make sure that this history is not lost.
Women's voices have been muted very often. It still stuns me that there are people who deny that it ever happened.
For County Report this week in Germantown, I'm Jesudian Cruz.
Coming up on County Report this week, folks in the small town of Poolesville are fighting for some big changes. We'll tell you what they are. And we'll meet our pet of the week. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hey, mister, down here. You illegally passed the stop school bus. I'm placing you in timeout, and this timeout means big fines, plus you really could have hurt somebody. That's why school buses are being equipped with video cameras to help kids like me stay safe, so respect the bus.
Welcome back to County Report this week. I'm Anqoinette Crosby. In Rockville, there's a growing sense of pride in calling the city home, and it's led to the My Rockville movement. One couple that's part of this movement tell us how the city is a place where the LGBTQ community can be heard.
Rockville, a city that is ever-changing and evolving and adapting to the needs of its community. A city that is inclusive and makes certain that its LGBTQ community can call this place home and be a part of the My Rockville movement.
Hi, I'm Mark.
Hi, I'm Lionel.
And this is My Rockville. When we moved here, we were looking at different areas and we found many of them very welcoming. But we learned the difference between maybe welcoming and affirming. And here in Rockville, we found that it is not only a very inclusive place, but also very affirming of us and of families like ours.
One of the things that I love about our neighborhood, and I thought it was just our neighborhood, but I actually realized that it's like all over Rockville, is just in 2 blocks in our neighborhood, we have at least 5 to 7 countries represented, as well as people from the LGBTQ community. And it's something that I have never seen anywhere else. I think when you are exposed to what happens when different cultures and different peoples with different backgrounds come together, you realize how much richer your life is and how much more you learn and how much open you become and how much more of a better person you become.
An amazing thing happened a few years after we moved here. We were asked to be on a group that was helping to name this new school that opened in our neighborhood. And the process was amazing because the city of Rockville and the mayor and the council and everyone is very supportive of getting a name that represents the culture and the people in our neighborhood and in the city. And so we worked on a group that ultimately came up with the name Bayard Rustin Elementary School. And Bayard Rustin was an openly gay civil rights leader. And it turns out that the naming of this school was the first time in our state that a school was named after an openly LGBT person.
And what a way to show not just commitment, but an affirming culture, right? Because It's not only about being accepting, it's about going beyond and making an extra effort to really validate what the members of the community are made of. And it's an incredible example of things we can do to embrace the younger LGBT community and make them feel welcomed and loved and appreciated for who they are, and really let them focus on their academics, on having fun and learning and becoming great people.
Our next story takes us to the Up County, where the small town of Poolesville is fighting for a new high school and more public services. MyMC Media's Doug Tallman talks with the folks who want to see changes in the works.
About 5,200 people live in Poolesville, a town in the heart of Montgomery County's Ag Reserve. Surrounded by farmland, the town won't grow much. But that doesn't mean it doesn't have needs. A group has been created in town called Fair Access, trying to get the county to recognize the town needs a new high school and it needs better access to county services.
First day of school, a ball was kicked up into the ceiling of the gym. The entire area of the school had to be closed down because of asbestos coming through. And that's in our new gym, which is now 40 years old.
Poolesville High is a patchwork of additions dating back nearly 70 years. Each new addition has added new issues, ranging from heating and cooling to the Americans with Disabilities Act, from mold to asbestos.
There's also open area here. This campus is open where this building, new building, can't be secured. Kids are going back and forth to these buildings all day long. That's definitely not in the new age of school security. That's a big no-no.
Fair Access is pushing for a new high school, possibly built alongside and behind its 10-year-old science wing. But more than a new school, the town needs more services.
One of the things we do know, though, is that this area is a real services desert when it comes to ideas like healthcare. So I run a transportation program for WUMCO. We have volunteers that drive people to the doctor. We have 2 doctors in town. One doctor has just closed his office. He didn't want to close it. He had to work with Adventist Healthcare, and they ran his practice. They decided to close it. So now we have 1 doctor for what amounts to between 12 and 15,000 people in the western county. I believe the police is another one, that we have a police substation up here would make a big difference in terms of how fast they could respond. We're, again, so far away that getting quick response can be a difficulty sometimes, so that's another area. And we know we have a lot of seniors out here. If you, again, looking at the data, there are a lot of people aging in place out here, partly because the cost of housing is cheaper. So we don't have a senior facility, we don't have the senior programs. We have some that we've done voluntarily. The town itself has stepped up and tried to do that, and we're doing a lot. But we don't have health care services for seniors, exercise programs on a regular basis, those kinds of things. And most other parts of the county have senior centers somewhere close to that jurisdiction, like Damascus even does. We don't.
Fair Access has taken its issues to the new leaders in county government.
During the campaign, we spent a lot of time going to the debates. We talked to council members during the debates. And I personally went to several of the county executive debates, and after a while they started saying, we see the people from Fair Access here. In terms of equity, all 3 of the people that ran for county executive mentioned that issue, including Marc Elrich. He talked specifically about the lack of equity out here. He even said they have a good point. There's just not the same number of services in the western county.
In Poolesville, I'm Doug Tallman for County Report This Week.
Now it's time to meet our pet of the week. This week, we made a home visit to one of our lovely volunteer foster moms. She is looking after our beautiful Juliet. Juliet was very timid at the shelter, but came out of her shell on the first night with her foster mom. She's an independent cat, but also enjoys being with people. Now that includes sitting next to them or just lounging around. She purrs a lot for treats, loves head scratches, and playing with her toy bird. For the holidays, we hope that you can gift her with a forever home. Please call the Montgomery County Animal Services and Adoption Center at 240-773-5900 or visit Juliet on the web at montgomerycountymd.gov/ASD. With that, we close this edition of County Report This Week. Remember to like us on Facebook and to join us again at this time every week for a look at what's going on inside Montgomery County. I'm Anqoinette Crosby. Thank you for watching.